Addendum to the nasogastric tube bolus feeding. The addendum would be that do not forget to wipe off the top of the can and or the bottle. And now that we're doing an addendum, I would also like to suggest that for the purposes of doing a peg tube feeding, the process is exactly the same for a peg tube feeding, although you're going to have your towel down here to protect your linens. And now that we're doing this addendum, there is one more thing that I would like to tell you, and that is when you're doing this feeding, of course I would have my gloves on, you might hold it right here, because these frequently come apart, and if they come apart when you're doing a feeding, then you do have something that will need to be, you've lost some of the feeding, which you can replace, but you do have a mess on your hands to clean up, which we're just making more work for ourselves. So I would suggest holding this for either the peg tube feeding. Any other addendums anyone would like to add? Okay, here's one more. When you are doing a JPEG feeding, and now this is going into the intestines, the jejunum actually, you will not probably be able to auscultate, and you may not be able to aspirate. The only way to check placement for sure on that would be with an x-ray. So it's iffy. We're not going to be doing an x-ray every time we do a feeding on these. So you just have to have a sense. The narrowness of the tube keeps us from hearing an auscultation, and the placement of where the tube is in the jejunum, it's difficult to aspirate from. Those feedings will go much, much slower because of the narrowness of the tube and where the tube is placed. I think that's all, unless anyone else has anything to add. All right, end of the addendum to nasogastric tube bolus feeding.